You're listening to Puma Podcast.
The 2024 Paris Olympics concluded with the Philippines making history again by securing 4 medals: 2 gold from gymnast Carlos Yulo and bronze from Pinay boxers Aira Villegas and Nesthy Petecio. As the nation celebrates this achievement, Go Hard Girls host Ceej Tantengco-Malolos, along with guest correspondents Louis Morales and Bigo, discuss their favorite moments from this year's games and share what they're excited about for the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles.
The whole country is celebrating 2 gold medals for Carlos Yulo and 1 bronze medal each for Nesthy Petecio and for Aira Villegas. So we see the medals, we see the tally, right? But there are so many moments that go before these medals and around these medals that are worth celebrating too. So we're joined by Louis Morales and Bigo. And what are the other achievements for our Filipino Olympians that you would like to celebrate?
I think for me as a reporter, we do cover a lot of these athletes even before, because a lot of the, I guess, the everyday Filipino, some of them just really look at these athletes when they go to the Olympics, especially for the ones of the sports that aren't so mainstream in the Philippines, say gymnastics or rowing. Joanny was like, who even knows how that works, like rowing works before the Olympics. And I feel like, for me, it was just really, a good thing for a lot of the people to notice, especially with social media, how, they were able to express their support, I guess, because a lot of them, or what I see at least from, a lot of the Filipinos is that they're just really supportive overall, whether or not you get, your medal. We've talked to a lot of Olympians who fell short, and they were always saying like, "I'm sorry." They would cry if they missed out on the medal. EJ, Yumir, and I think also Bianca Pagdanganan. And that was just heartbreaking for me as well, because they just really felt that pressure. And I'm happy to see that I think majority of the people, they just understood that it took a lot for them to even be there in the first place. And yeah, I think, some of the people might still be looking for the medals, but I think for most of us, we realize that it's just an honor and there's a lot of things going on for you to be able to get there. So yeah, for me, it was just, as someone who wants to advocate for a lot of parity across multiple sports in the Philippines, that was something that I really liked with this Olympics.
Yeah, for me, like to just also jump off what Louis said. Actually, I'm like someone who I enjoy the process more than the winning when I'm watching the Olympic Games. Like I actually enjoy like each match also, and like what they say, that it's more, the goal is more of the process more than like winning, like, or achieving something. Yes, achieving something is so great that we see results, but also like it's the what comes after. Like, okay, I won, but then like what is so meaningful is the process, that okay, like sometimes we fail, and then but then we continue to get back up, and that's what inspires people. And but then like in terms of the big achievement for women's sports, before the Olympics, I was able to like do research and compile some data na ang galing lang kasi um we this is the second straight Olympic Games where in the Philippine delegation, women have exceeded men. And then the humble beginnings just started in 1924, where we had just one man competing for the Olympics. And then in 1956, that was the first time women came in. And then by the 2000 Sydney Olympics, that's when we had almost like a 50-50, because it was 11 men to 9 women. And then now 2020 and 2024, it's like wow, like we have so many we have so many athletes who are women, who are just really excelling at a world class stage. So that for me is a very like wow. And we could, and I can't wait to see like what LA looks like or what Brisbane looks like in the next few years.
Yeah, ako, jumping off from that, right? I'm excited to see what Elrene Ando's gonna do in the next Olympics. Because for me, she's my like I was so hyped watching her uh beat her personal best, get number six in the whole world, right? There's been so much attention given to Heidi Lynn Diaz over the past 3 years, deservedly so, right? But I think we can still go a long way towards supporting our weightlifting athletes in general, and not just this one person as the face of the sport, but really developing out that when we think of weightlifting, think of all of these different people. And so I'm excited for that. Like, who are the other athletes that you're Filipina athletes that you're excited for next Olympics?
I think for me, coming off of the weightlifting conversation, Vanessa Sarno, I think she was just really dealt a bad hand for this edition of the Olympics. She talked about a lot of mental struggles, but I feel like I guess even going into it, I was very excited to see her because I personally was able to watch her compete in the SEA Games. I think that was in Vietnam in 2022, and just really looking at her, like she was so like the potential is really there. I feel like she's one of the brightest prospects for Philippine weightlifting, and for her to do it so young. Yeah, and it was just, I guess, unfortunate that, the pressure got to her. And, one of the things also that I really do appreciate about the Olympics is that we get into the topic of mental health. As someone who is, an advocate for both supporting in sports and mental health, it was just really, special for me for people to be able to, I guess, underscore the importance of, your mental health as much as your mental or as much as your physical preparation. Sometimes it's the bigger hurdle for a lot of these athletes. And yeah, I know one of the sports psychologists with the boxing team, coach Marcos Manalo. I talked to him after Tokyo, and he was really just speaking about how important it is to realize that these people are people and not just, medal producing athletes or robots. And yeah, it was just something that I really, you know took to heart, not just in the Olympics but in general. So yeah, I think Vanessa, all things considered, with a good mental preparation as well, she will be one of the most exciting prospects for it. And of course, Bianca, we saw her potential. Let's just see. A lot of these athletes also have to make the decision because the next Olympics is also 4 years away. So they do have to look at themselves and, I guess, realize within themselves if they can still wait that next 4 year period. But I'm hoping. Let's see. It's so much better with a lot of them still in running.
Yeah, like when I saw Vanessa Sarno's result, like the immediate thought I had was Heidelin also had a did not finish result in London 2012. So I was just thinking that, oh wow, like I could see like what could really motivate her for the next Olympics. And it's for sure that she's not stopping because she's so young also. There's just so much potential. And siguro if there's one athlete that who I want to see in the Olympics, it's definitely Alex Ayala for tennis. So I was like Olympic tennis is one of the events that I really love watching and just seeing how as of today, like Alex is ranked number 147 in WTA, and and usually you need to be like top 64 in the world to be able to compete in the Olympics. So if she's able to already like progress this far in a span of 3 years, I think there's just so much potential in where she could be in the next 4 years in time for LA as well.
Yeah, there's so much to get excited about. And B, you mentioned progress earlier, progress made. One of the big talking points around this Olympics was that Paris 2024 was one of the most gender balanced Olympics to date, or the most gender balanced Olympics to date, and that the IOC distributed quota places equally 50-50 to male and female athletes. Were there other initiatives that stood out to you, both of you, as advocates for women's sports?
So for me, it was the role of media in the Olympic Games. So there were more female sports broadcasters, and I remember before leading up to the Olympic Games, maybe in 2023, the IOC already opened like place spots for training female broadcasters as well to be able to commentate for the Olympic Games. So most of them were still like based in Europe, but then that's where the Olympic Games is. So can't wait to see like in LA 2028 because it's going to be in the US, and then for sure like because of the diaspora as well, so we might be able to see a lot of like our fellow Filipinos and fellow Philams also who are women who can actually get a spot in like commentating or even like reporting on TV and on radio and even in our own media platforms as well. It's not just because they're there because they're women, but then they are actually equipped and they are intelligent women who are very able to report about sports.
Yeah, and I guess just to piggyback off of that, I guess locally also it was just really impressive in a sense to really see our local broadcasters be able to show all of our Olympians competing on different platforms. Of course, not all of them were on free TV, but I guess just making it really accessible to a lot of the Filipino sports fans. Like, well, it doesn't matter if you're a man or if you're a woman. It doesn't matter as long as you're Filipino. You do get to have that coverage within the Philippines, and I think that was just like I guess for them it was a learning. It was a really tough learning when they missed Heidelin's gold medal last time in Tokyo from free TV. I think it was just available on the premium channels, but for them to just really piggyback off of that and realize that these athletes are worth to be seen or they are worthy to be seen. And I was just talking about, or I really aired out my thoughts on how representation really matters for especially for Filipino kids and Filipino parents. For Filipino parents to see a woman boxing, winning medals, for a man to be doing gymnastics and winning gold, and taking all of that money and condos and all that free stuff that Kaloy gets. I think it just shows them the possibility of sport, and that we shouldn't keep our athletes in boxes or our kids in boxes. That okay, you're a man, you need to play basketball, or you're a woman, you need to play volleyball, or you need to play certain sports. The beauty of the Olympics is showing that it doesn't matter who you are, you do get to excel in whatever sport as long as you put your mind to it, and as long as you are permitted to have that space. And yeah, I'm hoping that a lot of kids are now going to get a lot of girls are going to get into boxing, a lot of boys are going to get into gymnastics, and just maybe some of them are going into rowing, into golfing, or pole vault, or whatever, just for these athletes to inspire the next generation of Filipino elite athletes as well. Like, that's what we want to do naman, and I think that's the goal of every athlete. I recently went to a panel discussion featuring women athletes. Agatha Wong and Ina Palacios were also there. And then Ina was talking about, the goal is that it doesn't stop with us. And that's a beautiful point. And I feel like with the Olympics, you inspire, or you make sure that the future of each sport is realized and is kept safe, like kept sustainable as well. So yeah, I think that's the beauty of the gender parity in sports, is that they make people realize that you can compete in whatever sport that you wanted. And yeah, thank you also to our local broadcasters to be able to share those stories and really do their part in exposing our Filipino athletes competing at the highest level.
Yeah, because sports really is a place where so many people get role models, right? And we look to sports for inspiration. There, it's kind of like a microcosm of our bigger world. So it reflects our world, but at the same time, it inspires change outside of this little sports bubble. So many people are watching. So many people are getting impacted, and I think from that, if we're looking at further change we can make, there are still gender gaps even in the most gender equal Olympics today, there's still areas for improvement. What do you want to see in the next Olympics to take this really to the next level?
Well, for me, I think it's just the little things. Um, I wasn't also very happy with the uniforms issue for our Philippine golf team. So that's where I realized that, these are little things, and maybe management wise you'd think like it's such a little thing and then you could just make ways, but then it says a lot about how you treat your athletes, even in these smallest ways. And like I don't know the complete story to it. Maybe there's some part of it where we could be gracious, but then this is the Olympic Games, and I feel like we have to give so much importance that this is the where the best of the best of the best compete in as well.
Mm.
So this is high time for people to, actually like streamline their operations, their preparations, the sponsorships also.
Right.
So I feel like there's so much opportunity, especially for brands to actually go and sponsor our Filipino athletes, both men and women. So
Mm.
for me, like I think that's where I really felt sad in terms of
Yeah.
controversies. I know that it's not like specific to gender equality, but then
Mm.
it's still something that you have to give importance to.
Right. I think for to give context, right, you say the uniform issue in golf, but for people who are tuning in for the first time, right, or they're just catching the Olympics on TV as casual viewers, they don't know that this happened. Could you give people more context on what this issue is?
Oh yeah, so Bianca Pagdanganan and Dottie Ardina weren't given proper uniforms as they competed in the Olympic golf tournament. So they had to do makeshift uniforms to just like put the Philippine flag on their uniforms. That's the context.
Yeah. Yeah. And then ikaw naman, Louis, like what's one area that you'd like to see improved next time?
Yeah, actually, when the mentioned corporate brands, it's just like lit up a light bulb in my head, because one of the things that I guess it was like a slight pet peeve for me. Like, of course, I do work in PR. I do know how marketing works, but just really the moment marketing of it all. Sometimes it kind of like it doesn't give it doesn't give a good taste to people, especially me, who understand that a lot of these athletes struggle financially, to struggle to get the support that they need in order to get to that level. And then you sort of like hijack that moment for them by making it your own for the brands. Sometimes people would say, oh, that's so witty, oh, that's so cute, but I think at the deeper end we should realize that these brands, or what you know they should understand that their role is not just about celebrating their wins, but also being there for them through the process, because it's such a long process. If they are sincere with what they want to say when they do post those congratulatory posts, then I'd really like to see more corporate sponsors for athletes, because as we know, of course, the national government, the PSC, the POC, they are doing their best to distribute the, I think I would say, minimal budget that we do have, that the country has for sports. So they can only do so much, of course, and a lot of athletes, they do succeed when they do have corporate backing. So I'm hoping a lot of these brands, even those brands who hijack Heidelin's gold medal moment, I do hope that they do come out with support, not just during the Olympics, but also through the journey. And I guess what I want to see also for LA and Brisbane is that, I guess, for us, a lot more female storytellers for the Philippines. I think, of course, medyo konti lang. I think in our work, not everyone gets to go to cover the Olympics in person, but I think it would be helpful to have more female storytellers, to I guess also just make them realize, or to be able to share the impact of when a female athlete does succeed at the highest level. Of course, like for a woman that would resonate more than, say, a man commentating. I think it would be communicated more, and uh, I guess the context also of how much it took to get there in the first place. Especially that sports is still a male dominated world. We're taking steps in the right direction, but it's also important to document or to tell these stories from a perspective that would understand these female athletes more, and that means more women storytellers. I'd like to see
Yeah.
B in LA, or maybe Siege, just to have you guys and to understand that type of struggle, to understand their situations. And I think also the women athletes would also appreciate more seeing female storytellers and female journalists talking to them about, okay, how was it? And, what if a female athlete was competing while she was on her period? A man is not going to ask about that. And then to talk to her about, okay, how did you do that? Okay. So there's a lot of like experiences that I think a woman storyteller would be able to tap into more for our female athletes, and hoping that's something that we'll be able to do the next time, and of course even to the competitions leading up to the Olympics.
And that was today's episode of Teka Teka. I'm Bella Perez Rubio. If you like this episode, be sure to check out Go Hard Girls, a podcast dedicated to sharing stories about Filipina athletes. This episode was put together by Ceej Tantengco-Malolos, Pidoy Blanco, and Jill Caro. Thank you for listening.